I think one of the most important announcements from President Trump today, it's to me in my world, it's earth-shattering that he, Dr. Oz, RFK Jr., and a whole team of doctors have come out and announced today, and we're in 2025 right now, that women who are pregnant should not take Tylenol. Why? Because there's an association with autism. Study after study after study. And did you know there's a five-fold increase in autism among children over the last 25 years? It used to be there were, like in the 1960s, 1 out of 1,000 kids would get autism. Now in boys, it's 1 in 30. And in California, for some reason, among boys, 1 in 12. The other connection they made an announcement on and that they've made an association with is the vaccines. They're even recommending a spread out schedule. Now, if you're familiar with Dr. Paul, he has a book out called The Vaccine Friendly Plan. He came up with that book talking about the spread out schedule to avoid the risks of neurological problems when having many, many vaccines given. I mean, what children have now is over, if you're including the flu shots and COVID shots and all that, like we're approaching close to 40 to 50 vaccines. Like when we were kids, it was 10. So huge differences. And in the Amish population, they say zero autism. Yeah, there's something to that. Very low rates in Cuba as well. Apparently, they don't have access to Tylenol and certain, they do have vaccines there, but maybe they don't heavy hit it with everything because, again, they just don't have as much medical equipment. So you have to wonder what has changed over the last 25 years. I mean, Tylenol came out in 1955, so it's been out for quite a while. But why all of a sudden? Maybe if you're combining giving Tylenol after having a vaccine in a baby, they're saying that don't even do that. If your baby has a fever after vaccine, do not give Tylenol. If you are pregnant and you're having a fever, back pain, whatever, do not take Tylenol. And I remember, when I was pregnant with my first, I was having terrible back pain. My OB at the time said, well, just take some Tylenol. I did not take it because I was worried because I know how toxic Tylenol is. If you take too much, you can shut down your liver. It's so toxic. I chose not to do it because in my gut, I just knew it wasn't the right thing to do. So this is the most important announcement today. They even talked about leucovorin, which is a treatment to avoid the neurological side effects of either being given Tylenol after a vaccine as a baby or to rescue healthy cells from the toxic effects of certain drugs like Tylenol. So it's called leucovorin, and it's also known as folinic acid. It's kind of a derivative of folic acid, if you will. Because babies, if you don't get enough B vitamins and folic acid, they'll have problems like spina bifida, neurological problems, neural tube defects, and things like that. And that's just basically lacking certain B vitamins. Well, what happens when you give a toxic drug like Tylenol to a pregnant woman with a developing brain and spine, and you're giving something so toxic? To me, it's not shocking that there's been side effects. It is not shocking at all. I've never recommend giving that. So what's the alternative? Well, if you have a baby less than 2 months old, you cannot give ibuprofen. You cannot do that. So, doctors also that spoke with President Trump today were talking about if you have a fever, you don't want to automatically suppress a fever in someone older than 2 months old, because if you do that, especially with Tylenol, it makes the illness last longer. Fever is the way to kill off pathogens. And we have said it in integrative medicine and naturopathic doctors have said for years and years, don't suppress a fever. Now, I'm not talking about fevers that get above 104, 105, because then you have to rule out things like strep and meningitis and bacterial infections and things that are really serious, because that's time to go to the hospital if the fever's 105 or higher, for sure, in a child. And an adult, 104 or higher, definitely going to the hospital. But we're just talking about your normal run-of-the-mill 100.4 temperature or a little bit higher. You just don't want to run and grab for Tylenol. You don't want to do that. I am so thankful they finally came out and say that those of us in integrative and natural medicine have known this for decades. We've known that there is a correlation between giving a child 8 vaccines in one day and then going home and treating them with Tylenol. No, I like pediatrician Dr. Paul Thomas's his book, The Vaccine Friendly Plan. That way, if you choose to vaccinate, you're doing like one at a time, right? And you're not treating the fever with Tylenol. They didn't talk about SIDS, which is the sudden infant death syndrome, or when they die in their crib. And usually it's after a vaccine, and you wonder, did they give Tylenol? They didn't talk about that, but there has been talk about that. So they're going to send a letter to doctors all over the United States warning, do not recommend Tylenol for your pregnant mothers, and do not give Tylenol to treat after giving a vaccination for a baby, toddler, etc. And I think it's high time this has come out. It's just so important, and I think it's important for all of us, because I personally don't take Tylenol. I've taken, if you're taking a prescription pain medicine like Tylenol, sometimes blended in like with medications like the what was it? We don't really give it out anymore. It's usually hydrocodone with Tylenol. Sometimes they're given together like that. Yeah, I get it for pain, but you may want to rethink it. It's so toxic, and so that's something to think about. Do I think it's due to Tylenol only? No, I do not. And in fact, RFK Jr. was saying they are looking into the vaccinations and maybe separating out the MMR and the varicella, like not giving it all at once, and especially if they're under 4 months of age. So I would say stay tuned for this. It's extremely important, and I'm glad they're finally taking autism seriously, because I do work with families and children, and the rates of autism are through the roof. And I'm so glad this administration is taking it seriously, because we need to do something to protect our children. This is our future, right? Okay, everybody, comment below if you saw this announcement today. What do you think about it? Is it going to make you stop using Tylenol, especially with young children or pregnant women? Or what do you think about it? I'd be really curious to know. Thanks for being here on Vitalize Health Partners. See you on the next one.